What's up? Um, man. First, I just want to just thank God, man. It's truly grateful. There's a verse in the Quran where it says that with hardship comes ease, not before or after, but uh, almost simultaneous. And I think my entire life, everything that I've endured up until this point, has been a true testament of that. Just the back and forth between going through different trials, different adversities, uh, but in the same midst of that, being grateful for the things that I have, and continuing to push forward and seeing the blessings that God blessed me with, and to sit here, like I really, it feels surreal. It really does feel surreal. Everything that I went through to be at this point. Um, I want to just thank everybody in the entire organization, top to bottom. The McNairs, uh, Nick, D'Amico. Just I wanted to be here. I didn't want to be anywhere else. I couldn't see myself going anywhere else. And that's just probably the hardest part, even thinking of the thought of not being here. So to still, be able to do that and continue my career on and continue the special things that we're building here, just truly grateful to you all. Um, Grateful to my agent, Jason Shedd, just taking a chance on me back when I was coming out of college with a torn ACL and not pretty, not the hottest linebacker you want to get, and he took a chance on me, and we've worked together now going on 8 years, and 4 different contracts later, I see you like family as well, and just grateful to you. Uh, Grateful to all my teammates, all my coaches that have poured into me, not only here, but back to San Francisco, Tennessee, talk about college when I went to Florida Atlantic, even high school, where I first started playing football. Because all of those things, so many people that you meet along your journey, along your life that bring you to where you are. So I know I wouldn't be able to do justice to probably over half of the people, because I can't say every single name of the people that helped me, but truly just grateful to every single last one of the men, women throughout my life that have poured into me, even if it was just a conversation, um, and just helping me get to this point as well. And then just my family, my brothers and sisters, my nieces and nephews, my grandparents. They're my support system, and they love me regardless of how many tackles I make or what I do. And I wouldn't be able to be here without them. And the last person I want to thank, I saved for last because I don't know if I'm gonna cry or not, and I don't want to cry. Is my mother. Uh, man, man, I I wouldn't be the man that I am if it wasn't for you. Everything that I am, everything that I am is because of you. And to be a single mother of one child is tough. 2 children, that's tough. 3, 4, 5. So we talk about 8 children. And I think the hardest thing as a kid when you grow up and you think, man, my parents, did they really try their hardest? Did they try their best? And regardless of how hard you may or may not have tried, whatever that looks like, it doesn't matter. Because I think the biggest thing is you showed up. Regardless of the outcome of the circumstances that we were in, you believed in me to play football before I believed in myself. Um, and I'm no one. I'm nothing if I don't have you, and if I didn't have you through all those years getting me to this point. Every conversation we had, even to this day, I have to talk to you when anything is going on in my life. You're my best friend. You mean the world to me, and I can't repay you enough for the things you've done for me. Uh, just truly, truly, truly grateful for you. And I love you. Honestly, for me, I just remember I wanted to just be myself, be authentically me. Obviously, as a football player on the field, try to show, just the abilities that I have, being able to be a tone setter, what I'm saying, get guys organized, lined up, communication, all those different things. Uh, and then obviously, off the field, just connecting with the guys, understanding that the relationships that you build, it makes you push a lot harder when you are doing it, for your brothers. And, grateful for some of the guys, man, some of the coaches showing up today, man. Appreciate you guys. Um, but, truthfully, like, I just wanted to be authentically myself, and I just always felt like if I got the opportunity to, be at a place and show everybody who I was, then things would go well for the team and for myself. So I'm grateful for that.
Last thing, you always had the perspective and offer that those less fortunate and some of the things. When you first, when you're in Tampa and your family's going through those tough times, were you still in a dream of things like this, days like this, sort of thing, like maybe looking ahead or things like this? Thank you.
Yes, when I was growing up in Tampa and when I first, started playing football, I begged my mother to let me play. I begged her to let me play, and she didn't want me to play. She didn't want to see me get hurt. And I just remember telling her like, I promise you. We were staying in a motel at the time, and I'm telling her, I promise you, if you let me play football, I'll make it to the NFL. I'll take care of our family one day. And man, like I had no clue. I had no clue if I was ever actually going to be able to do it or not. I never saw it done. I didn't think stuff like that happened to people like me, like in my life, in my situation. So to sit here, years later, to be actually living that out is absolutely amazing. It's literally, all praise to Allah. It's nothing but God's mercy and God's grace that I'm even here and able to say that.
Azeez, when you found out that you got extended, where were you and what do you recall being your immediate reaction at that point?
When I found out that everything was done, I was actually here because we started the off-season program, and I was like just getting into work. Um, I was on the phone with my agent. He's like, "We're done," and I was like it's just kind of like surreal just hearing it. But I was probably like 5 minutes late to the meeting. So my coach Billy Davis, he gets on us for never shouting him out. So I'm actually going to shout him out today. I appreciate Billy, man. Billy is my guy. But I get in the meeting and he's like, oh man, what you coming in here late for? Okay, that's what happened. Like he's just giving me a hard time, and I'm just cheesing the whole time. I'm not even listening to half the stuff he's saying. I'm just like, I'm just smiling. I'm just like couldn't stop smiling, and I mean, it just again, it was surreal. I tried to call my mom; she was asleep. So, at the time I got to talk to everybody and everything, like it didn't feel real, truthfully, until literally today, I would say, because every day I'm just like, nah, I got to make sure I stay in the house. I got to make sure I don't go under no bridge. Somebody gonna kill me. Something gonna happen. There's no way. Like, there's no way it's real. So I did sign it, so it is official. So if something happens to me now, take care of my mama for me. But no, I mean, that's where I was at.
Azeez, last year you really emphasized coverage, and we saw the improvement from camp to the end. Is that what's next for you as a player? Is there anything that you like personally emphasize, or from a team perspective, any goals like that?
I mean, yeah, I think just as a team goal and team perspective, you know, as good as we were able to be, and all throughout the first 2 weeks of our meetings, defensively, when we've been meeting as a group, and even when we first had our first team meeting, it's like we're gonna hit the ground running, and we're trying to elevate like all the success we had, and we still ended up right where we were over the last 2 years. So I think the thing that we're all trying to accomplish is to win a Super Bowl. And for me personally, I think it's just being consistent. In everything that I'm doing. Coach Davis, the biggest thing he talks about is just consistent, clean plays, clean eyes, clean feet. And when we're going over all these stuff for the first 2 weeks, we're going over explosives, we're going over red zone, and just the different third down stuff like that, different situational ball. And as Coach Burke is going through that stuff, like a lot of it is all us, and things that we could have did better, our technique that literally could change the game and could change how last season went. But you can't do anything about that. So it's really just motivation for this year to really just dial in even more and lean in on our training and lean in on the technique.
Azeez, I'm not trying to get you emotional, but you spoke about your mother and everything that she instilled in you in your journey to get to where you are now. How much of that have you used throughout your NFL career, especially coming here and being around those young guys like Henry, like Jamal, like Jake, to be able to instill that into them, but not only just your linebacker group, but to the rest of your teammates as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's been huge. I think just the lessons that you learn throughout your life, you carry with you. And for me, this has just happened to be my profession of football. So whether I'm actively playing and I, incorporate how I teach and how I interact with guys based on the things I experienced and I endured and what I've also been taught just as I'm growing up, or off the field and just building those connections and those relationships, or the relationships that I have in the community as well. I think the one thing that I also love, just for me being Muslim, is what you learn is that in Islam, there's no person, all you guys in this building right now, nobody's better than the next person in here. I'm no better than anybody else because of how much money I'm getting, because of what career I have, vice versa. But the only thing that you're judged on is the intention in your heart. And I think like that's what I try to do is just be really like, be really like insightful, be really like detailed on like how I'm interacting with people and like be like authentic. Like I think that's the biggest thing is because at the end of the day we're all human, and all this stuff that I'm doing, it's gonna be 10 years from now, somebody else wearing the jersey that I was wearing. Before me it was D'Amico up here. Before him it was somebody else. So it's like what you understand is that stuff comes and goes, but the way that you interact with people, human beings, I think that is what lasts. And so when you build those connections like that, the team can go as far as you want it to go.
And can you elaborate a little bit more on the relationship that you have with the McNairs? I know that when you went through some things here adversity-wise, how much they were able to just bring you in like you were one of their own sons, and be able to, how much of that was going through your mind as you was extending it?
Man, that's honestly a huge part of really everything for me. That this family has been, I've told them countless times, like my own family, especially, I come from a really big family. So being out here in Texas, I really enjoy it, but it's different. So my first year, especially, like, I'm not really around any people other than the players on the team and stuff like that. But when I went through everything that I went through with the suspension and everything like that, I think, one thing that I leaned in more than anything was the conversations that I had with them. And, I always tell them, like you didn't have to put yourself in front of, a speeding bullet, like for me, I feel like just the way that they had my back and every chance that they had to speak on my behalf, speak to my character, and every time they saw me, just poured into me, trying to make sure I was doing well. I think the one thing that Cal told me that he told me his father told him was you can never go wrong doing what's right. And that's just something that I think I'll probably just keep with me for the rest of my life because it's just like, just that little phrase to me just is like, man, like, yeah, you can't go wrong when you're doing what's right, like doing the right thing. And there was countless times, countless conversations that I had with them that just kind of reassured me just as a person because obviously there's a business side to this and then there's a personal side. And I think, like I said about me with my teammates, it's very much the same with them. Like they easily, as ownership, been places where you don't see the owner unless it's a game day and it's like, you better have won that game or they're going to be looking at you crazy. And I feel like it's like you see them, throughout the building, they're a part of the team. Like you feel the family atmosphere, all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom with the janitors here. They know everybody and they interact with everybody and it's really special. So I'm just grateful that I'm here and I have the relationship that I have with them. Calhoun, their son is, that's like, I tell him he's like my nephew. So first time I actually met him, he was just one of the water boys during OTAs during around the same time, I want to say, or training camp. It might have been my first year here. And at the time, I didn't know who he was, but I just saw him trying to give us water, and I just started giving him a hard time. And from then, he's been like a little nephew to me now. So truly just grateful.
These congratulations.
Thank you.
You talk about all the things that you've been through, and you shared that with us since you've been in Houston. You just go back to season before last, that time you talked about how you thought about whether or not you should still even do this. Can you just talk about, how quickly really the whole narrative changed and then juxtapose that to where you are today? Can you give some perspective around that?
So I think when I reflect back to that time, like I said, it was a really challenging time in my life. Just trying to navigate through how I could be in a situation where people are attacking me like as a man, my character, for something that I did on the football field that literally happens in like a split second. People get into car accidents, and it's like, you're at fault, you're at fault. Ah, man, it happened so fast, like you don't even. That's what football is. Like it's literally split second decisions. And so, to think I worked, my butt off for 7 years up until that point, 6 years up until that point, to get myself even in that position, to be here, to be a Texan and to be, the leader of a defense. And so when all that stuff went down and to see like the way people were talking about me as a person and as a player, it hurt because I just felt like, man, everything just kind of came crumbling down and it wasn't a reflection of who I see myself as or who I try to be. And I think just to see how, truthfully, how broken I was, because I was truly just broken. Like my heart was broken. My mother could tell you, everybody who's here can tell you, that I interacted with. I was in an extremely, extremely low, dark place. And I think it's crazy because um, some of the people that I leaned in on the most were just people I had to work with every single day. The trainers and the staff, just to get back. I think the conversations that I had on a daily basis with people just like pouring into me, I needed it way more than they know. A lot of the people in this building, poured into me, and their job description might have been, strength coach, or it might have been, athletic trainer, or rehab guy. And it's like I was dealing with an injury, I was dealing with all the off the field stuff and the stuff with the Trevor Lawrence stuff, and just a suspension and all of it, and people just pretty much going for my character. And I really leaned in on all these other people who did more than their job required them to do to try to make sure I was in a good place mentally. And so just grateful.
Azeez, like you were just talking about, it hasn't always been smooth here, but when you think back to when you first signed here to reunite with D'Amico, I imagine you thought things would go well. Did you imagine they would go as well as they have for both you personally and for the team for where they are?
I would say no and yes. I did imagine that things would go well. I also imagined that they would be better in the sense, like, I was really hoping that we could have won a Super Bowl by now, after 2 years of being here. Like, I think the expectation is obviously as high as you want it to go. So in that regard, I would say yes. I did expect them to go well, but I still have, a lot of goals and a lot of high expectations for this team and for myself as well.
Azeez, when you look at the team in general, the number one defense last season, you have now Derek Stingley Jr. signed up long-term, Will Daniil, and 8 of the starters will be under contract in 2027. How exciting is it to know that you guys are only building off of the success for this upcoming season, but there's more room to grow for years of experience to be able to continue that brotherhood that really has become the standard of what this organization is about?
Yeah, it's extremely exciting. I think when you look at any friendship, you look at a marriage, they always say like the first 3 years is the hardest years of a marriage, and it starts to get easier and easier. And so I think like when you think about that in this football terms, the more time you spend with guys in the locker room, you know their families now, you know their stories, everything about them, and you also know their playing styles, the things that they're good at, the things that they want to work on, and kind of like playing together, what their voice sounds like. So when you get in the calls, communicating the calls, it just makes for way more cohesion, and 100% the sky's the limit when you have that. And I think, again, Coach Burke going through the last 2 weeks and all the coaches kind of going up there and talking about all the ways that we could have got better as a defense is extremely exciting because you're like, okay, everybody's telling you, man, you guys are so great. You guys are so great. And we see the cracks. And I think when you're at this level, when you want to truly chase that greatness, you're understanding that yes, we were a really, 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 really elite group, but how much further could we take it? How much better could we be? Where people are thinking, oh, this was a good defense, or this is a great defense. To like, nah, like every time you think of defense, you only think of a one place, and that's the mindset that we want to have. Like, man, we take it as far as it could possibly go.
Azeez, kind of as a follow-up to that, what does that look like when you talk about going to the next level? Because the naked eye saw is that your defense was really, really good. it's human thing, people make mistakes, but how good is this next level? What does that look like when you sit down and you envision it?
It's funny because like all the coaches, like I said, over the last 2 weeks are kind of given different categories of things, areas we could be better in as a defense and things like that. And so we went over interceptions, and we talked about turnovers, but we talked about interceptions, and it was like we had 12, 15. I think we were going back and forth on whether it was a drop or not. About 12 to 15 dropped interceptions, and it's like if we catch 5 of those, just our ranking or where we would have been or whatever the case may be. It's like, man, like just little things like that that people don't see. You talked about also we talked about forced fumbles. Like we only had 4 on the year, and it's like I think we excluded some things like just in the regular season is what we were kind of focused on. That wasn't a strip sack, excuse me. We only had 4 on the year, so it's like little things like that where it's like, hey, throughout OTAs, you can really fine tune those small things, like making sure you're catching the ball. Myself is probably one of the bigger culprits, but Kalen Bullock actually he's number 1 on the list. He dropped more interceptions than me. But that's just between me and him. But I think that is probably just a big thing. And then when we talked about the other day with punching the ball, I was like being precise, not just throwing haymakers. So there's a lot of ways and areas that we can be better, and that's what this time of the year is for. A lot of people don't value it, but when you have a building like this where you basically got everybody showing up and everybody working together, it allows you to build on that chemistry and build on the success.
Azeez, when you looked at last season, you had a career high 9 pass attempts and a couple interceptions. Was that something last off season that you were making a concerted effort that you wanted to get better, like you were just talking about with pass coverage? I have a quick follow-up.
Yeah, for sure. I think just where the game is, like I've always valued, pass coverage. You have to be able to cover, especially like with just they're paying receivers 3 times the amount that they just paid me for a reason because they want to throw them the ball. So I think just for me and understanding like this scheme and what we require from a linebacker, you have to be able to cover. You basically like a glorified safety, but you basically also like a D lineman because you got to be able to play in the run as well. So I mess around with the corners all the time in the back end, telling them that linebacker is the hardest position on this team. But I think it definitely is something that I focused on, and I got a lot of help, from guys like Sting, Kamari, Jalen, Petrie. They helped me a lot over the offseason last year.
Anderson, when he got his deal, setting some records as a high-paid non-QB. What was it like seeing him get that? He said it was very special, the relationship you guys have built and the commonality you guys have formed, just kind of both of you guys getting paid within a short span and also just kind of the way you've been day-to-day in that locker room. Thank you.
No, yes, sir. Honestly, the relationship I have with Will, like he's truly like a little brother to me. He's like the little big brother. I have an older brother that's a year older than me, and I was always the little older brother. Like I was bigger than him. So this is, I guess, God just sending payback for me for all the years I was messing with my older brother. But truthfully, he's a great human being. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I value character more than I value abilities, and that's with anybody. I talk to anybody around the building, and everybody will tell you, I'll talk to the janitor for 45 minutes, or I'll talk to Hannah and Cal for 45 minutes. So it's just like I value, the character. I think for me with Will, like I'm so grateful that I have him in my corner because the way that we lean in on each other, especially throughout the season when we're kind of having our own like moments of rough patches or whatever, that a lot of people look to us for leadership on the team. So it's hard because you feel like you can't show like you're going through something all the time because everybody else on the team is looking to you for that inspiration. So for me and him, we actually lean in a lot on each other to kind of be that I guess therapist for each other to make sure like, hey, are you good? Like, all right, we good, and we have conversations all the time. So I'm grateful for that relationship.
You said that, what fueled you throughout some of the previous conversations that we've had. You said that some of the things that fueled you to make to where you are today has been the fact that you went undrafted. Nobody really thought that you could be to where you are today here being extended. How much of that chip do you still have on your shoulder?
Truthfully, I carry it with me every day. I think that it's just a part of who I am. I think it's a part of my life. My story in the NFL, I think, is a reflection of my story throughout my life. Going through different hardships, having, kind of like all the weight of the world on your shoulders, feeling like, man, like there's no way you're gonna make it out of this situation. You know, I came in San Francisco with an extremely talented group with a torn ACL. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like I remember going into that training camp, and they show you the depth chart, and Quan Alexander, I used to sit next to him. He's like a big brother to me, but he was the big vet at the time, and they just paid him in the off season. And every day, this man made me get him tater tots. Freaking put him on his desk every day. And so I'm sitting there, I'm bringing the tater tots in. I came in late because I had to get the tater tots. And so Mika's like eyeing me, like, why are you coming in late? I'm like, this man is food. So I sit down, give him the tray, and then I look up, and they're showing like the depth chart for the first day of training camp. And I'm just like, okay. And I'm looking, and it's like, I'm the 10th guy. Like, I'm just like, damn. like, not only is this man making me serve him his plate, get tater tots, but I'm literally like, I don't even know if I'm going to get a rep in practice today. So I think just seeing that, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I believe I can do it. I think John Lynch still owes Chris Kiffin to this day, $1,000 because Chris Kiffin stood on the table for me to bring me to San Francisco initially, and they bet, the GM betting that I wouldn't make the team. Like, how terrible is that? So me and John, every time I see John, he honestly is just like hilarious. He brings it up every time. It's like, man, I'm so proud of you. I still owe Chris $1,000, man. So it's like to think that I had all that going up against me and to be where I am right now is just truly a blessing. But like I said, it's so many people along that journey. Somebody like Chris, who he was assistant D-line coach at the time. It's like you getting up there talking about a linebacker from Florida Atlantic with a torn ACL, talking about you promise he's going to make the team. Like, you almost putting your own job on jeopardy, like, for me. Like, so that type of just character, and from people who cared about me to speak on my behalf like that, I have a million people that have done that for me, so I'm just grateful.
Azeez, you mentioned it earlier that you didn't want to go anywhere else. And you've touched on it throughout the press conference, but why was this place that you wanted to stay long term?
You said why? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry about that. Truthfully, top to bottom, the people, just the feeling. Like, you can go into like buildings and you say what you want. Oh, this city might be better, or this one place might be better, or they got more whatever. Like, whatever thing you want to do. If you're chasing extra more, oh, I want $1 more million, so forget it. I'm just gonna go play for somebody else. Like, for me, I truly do value relationships and people. Like, at the end of the day, like, the money, me playing here is gonna come and go. But just like the relationships that you build with people, like, this place is special and the people here are special. And I think that it's a reflection from, again, the top all the way to the bottom. There's not a human being that is, employed by the organization that is not of, high character and just like a great person. Like, I've been around all these people, and no matter who it's been, I've been able to just build some type of relationship and have that sense of like family. And so that's extremely hard to come by, and I didn't want to pass that up. And it's crazy because I feel like I was always like kind of frustrated. I remember when I left Tennessee and ended up coming here, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, wow, like, who would have thought like I'd make it to the NFL? I went through homelessness. I went to a different school every year until I got to high school, basically. And like, I'm thinking when I get to NFL, I'm good. I can sit in one place and I'm good. And then I go on to play for 3 teams, and I'm like, dang, like, I'm still bouncing around from place to place. Like, how does that work? So the last thing I ever thought when I got to this place and got around these people and saw how special it was and how much it meant to me, I really could not ever see myself putting on another uniform for anyone else. So.
Azeez, a lot of your same teammates in the linebacker room, a couple of new faces as well. What does that room, your teammates, mean to you, and what is your role as the leader of that room mean to you?
It means everything. My teammates, when they congratulated me the other day in the meeting, my teammates, without them, I wouldn't be here because we all work together. And they truly do make it like a privilege and an honor to like come to work every day. And like, bro, like, we talk about all the time, like, we want to hang out with each other outside of football. When football season's not around and everybody goes home, like, everybody's like missing each other. So like, you get so excited when you come back into the building. It's like first day of school. And I mean, just sit there and think like the guys, especially the younger guys, always mess with me because I'm 28. Like I'm not old, but in football terms, I'm Cal's age apparently. So throwing subliminals here, like throwing shots. I just had to wake him up. I think he was just getting bored of me talking, so I had to just throw him a shot real quick just to wake him up. I don't mess around, but no, like I mean, truthfully, like I think for me, just being able to be around the group of guys that we have, everybody, and not just the defensive guys, but offense, like all of us as a team, like there's some amazing people in this building, and it truly is a brotherhood. And like I said, for some of the guys to show up, like everybody's off today, and some of the guys who coming back from rehab showing up for me, you know what I'm saying? It's just truly a blessing, man, and I appreciate that, and just the relationship that I have with all these guys.